person sitting there is usually home. We don't? We do have one. Yeah, we have one. Marcia probably.
But it's all good. So I can see like here, but everything else will be. Because my regular glass is in transition. So this, if I look down, it's a little different.
Good morning. I'm Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller, and I'm calling this Douglasville City Council public hearing on HB 581 to order at this time. Before we begin, I have a few protocol items I'd like to read out to you, so we all are on the same page and playing by the same rules and abiding by the same facts. This is a public hearing, so people will be invited to speak on the matter being discussed today. There are a few ground rules before we begin, and that is we ask that you keep your comments and presentations on a professional level, dealing with the facts that are important for this governing body to make their decision. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be a personal attack or on any individual or group of individuals. You will receive warning from the chair if you deviate from this requirement. A second deviation will result in a request that you leave the chambers and the premises for the day. Only one person will talk at a time. Do not applaud, react to the speaker, speak from the audience, cheer, carry on a conversation with others in the audience, or disrupt the order of this meeting in any way. We are only required to accept public comment during required public hearings, such as this. We are not required to accept public comment on other items before the council. If you have a cell phone or other electronic device, please power it off or put it into silent mode. As we move forward, the committee chairperson will read the item in this particular case, the public hearing on this particular HB 581. Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council may ask questions in the process or seek additional information. After that, the committee chair will ask for comments and statements from the audience. You have a maximum of time limit of 20 minutes for those who will speak in favor and 20 minutes for those who will speak in opposition to each agenda for this particular agenda item. Each individual speaker will have 5 minutes. You have one opportunity to comment on the agenda item, means you don't come down and then go back and come back up again. Please, before you approach the podium, fill out one of the speaker cards, the signing cards that were out the table outside the door, and hand it to the city manager to my right, your left. At the podium, state your name and address for the record, state whether you're in favor or against the item, and then you can proceed with your comments. It is not a question and answer format, so it is not a debate format. Please address your comments to the chair, not to members of the audience. If you happen to have any printed information, please give that to the city manager, and she'll have that distributed to the members of the council. I think we're pretty clear on that. So, as we move forward, we have one committee today to handle this issue, and that is chaired by Councilman Chris Watts. Councilman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We have one item, as you said, to hold a public hearing to consider opting out of the statewide adjusted base year ad valorem homestead exemption for the City of Douglasville. And Ms. Karin Callan, Assistant City Manager, will take this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Karin Callan. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the City of Douglasville. Thank you for coming out this afternoon to listen to and participate in our public hearing on House Bill 581. It's a recent bill that has been introduced into legislation. I've got a quick presentation, and at the end of my presentation, we will open the floor for you to make comment for or against. We've got the tax commissioner here as well. He just walked in. Thank you, Mr. Greg Baker, for attending. So this public hearing requires, this state law requires that we have 3 public hearings. This is the second of 3 public hearings. The deadline for us to file with the Secretary of State is March 1st. And I want to say the most comments that we have received so far are that the senior exemptions, we have concern from individuals and citizens that the senior exemptions will be affected by this bill. So as the Commissioner and I were talking this past week, that this bill is not directly related to senior exemptions at this time. In the future, there is a possibility from the State Department of Revenue, but at this time, there is nothing that is going to affect the senior exemptions. So that's one thing that we wanted to make clear, because that is what the feedback that we have heard most is that the school board exemptions, and it's specifically the school board, 62 and older, those will not be affected. The bill was created in response to rising property values. And the attempt was that the goal of the bill is to control assessments and freeze property values. The property values are increased by the increases in property values are capped at a rate that is set by the State Revenue Commission based on this bill. And that would be determined each year. So each year, the State Revenue Commissioner would look at a CPI index and then determine that would be the cap of your property value. As an example, a house that was assessed at $100,000 in 2024, and if the CPI or inflation rate that the State Revenue Commission decided that year was 2%, then the taxable value would be $102,000. If your house was valued at $125,000, then that float of $23,000 would be the float, and it would be deferred. It would be deferred if you sold your property or if you transferred your property. Then the new owner, the new basis would be the fair market value at that time. Floating local option sales tax was also created by House Bill 581. That's what we are calling FLOST. The cities and counties must have a floating homestead to be eligible. And the FLOST is an additional 1% sales tax that is similar to our local option sales tax, which if you go to a retail outlet, you have your base price and then you have your sales tax on top of that. The FLOST that was created is an additional 1% sales tax that would then be split between the city and the county based on an intergovernmental agreement. The pros of this bill would be property values would be capped and possibly lower taxes. The cons would be that this would shift the tax burden to renters, businesses, or non-homestead properties. It could cause the millage rate to increase anyway, unless services were reduced. Another negative is when property is sold or transferred, it would revert to the current assessed value. And also, everyone in the county would have to agree and opt in order for us to collect a FLOST. And right now, Douglas County is opting out, so that is not an option for the city at this time. There has been a new bill introduced as of January 16th, and it's House Bill 92, and they are looking at extending the deadline. This is not approved yet, and it will not change the city's decision on whether to opt in, but there is a new bill introduced that would extend the deadline 1 month for the city's or county's option to opt in or opt out of the homestead exemption. This is our second public hearing, February 6th at 11. We have one final public hearing, Thursday, February 13th at 5 p.m. And at that time, a special call meeting at 5:30 would be to adopt the resolution. We have additional resources with a QR code for your information. And at this time, we would welcome your opinion on House Bill 581.
Okay, at this time, we'll begin our public hearing portion of today's meeting. Remember the guidelines that Mayor Pro Tem explained, and so Anybody that would like to come forward, mic is right there. If you do come to the mic, please state your name and address for the record. Anybody that would like to come forward at this time? All right. If no one wants to come forward at this time, we do have a third public hearing meeting, correct? Okay. I forget the date offhand, but it's, go ahead.
February
Oh,
13th
there it was.
at 5
Okay.
p.m.
All right. So we'll close our public hearing, Mayor Pro Tem, and at this time, I'm handing it back to you.
Thank you, Councilman Watts. I appreciate that. Does anybody else on City Council have any other items to discuss at this time? Anything from staff at this time? All right, hearing no other discussion at this time, this meeting is officially adjourned.